In the middle of the park, a boy asked a girl about her university application choices, but didn't receive a satisfactory answer. He gradually moved closer, making her extremely uncomfortable. Anyone looking at them would think they're a cute couple, right? But nobody would guess that they are actually half-siblings. These two are childhood sweethearts who have shared a cradle and eaten from the same bowl since they were little. When they were little, Xiao Tu had always taken care of her younger brother, Ling Chao. Now, he was even taller than her by a head. Xiao Tu wasn't a good student. Her IQ wasn't high, so her test scores were always at the bottom of the class. That day, her literature test score was so low it was painful to see, and her mom was furious. Her dad felt bad for his daughter, but with his wife being the boss, he could only try to subtly calm her down. Ling Chao, on the other hand, was a smart, hardworking, and diligent student. He is the same age as Xiao Tu, but he was already in the 11th grade. Xiao Tu's mom only wished her daughter were half as intelligent as him. So to appease her angry mother, Xiao Tu went to her godmother's house, who was also Ling Chao's mother. Ling's mom adored Xiao Tu and bought her anything pretty or cute she saw. Ling Chao's sandals were falling apart, but he hadn't gotten any new ones. While Xiao Tu was playing in Ling Chao's room, a guest arrived. It was a pretty girl, but she was two-faced. In front of Ling Chao, she acted sweet and innocent, but towards Xiao Tu, she was like a demon, changing her face faster than flipping a pancake. But Xiao Tu didn't care, because the girl brought chocolate chip cookies for Ling Chao. With such a perk, why bother with minor details? The next day, they biked to school together. Xiao Tu thought her godmother's birthday was coming up and wanted to make something for her. But Ling Chao totally disagreed because she's so clumsy. If she tries to take care of flowers, they die, and if she cooks, the kitchen almost blows up. So he told her not to even try. In class, her best friend was gossiping about a classmate who got robbed by a bunch of thugs. It was really scary. On the way home, she saw Ling Chao's bike knocked over, with blood nearby and 3 leaves, just like the mark her friend described that the thugs used. She got really worried and ran around looking for him. But Ling Chao had already gone out with a friend and texted her, but Xiao Tu had lent her phone to someone, so she never got the message. Ling Chao didn't know any of this. That evening, it started raining, so he went out to look for her. He asked around at different places, and finally found Xiao Tu, but she was standing with 3 tough-looking guys. Thinking she was in trouble, he grabbed a brick, ready to fight them, but it turned out Xiao Tu had made friends with them. They were just standing there to get out of the rain and sharing food. After everything was clear, they went home and dried their hair to avoid getting sick. Ling Chao scolded her, saying she shouldn't be out late at night because it's dangerous. He told her that if something like that happened again, she should go straight home and not wander around. But Xiao Tu had promised to always protect her younger brother since they were kids. So how could she just leave him? She shared her towel with him to dry his hair. But a boy and girl sharing a towel in one room made him feel something, and that moment changed his heart. Ling Chao was a very good baby who never cried. One day, when Xiao Tu's mom brought Xiao Tu to visit the newborn, he started crying. From that day on, the two families became very close, and the parents of both became foster parents to both children. Xiao Tu often went to Ling Chao's house for dinner, always calling herself his older sister. But he didn't like that at all. She caused him a lot of trouble. He once broke his leg, and another time got hit in the head with a rock because of her. Xiao Tu thought it was other kids who did those things to him, so she started learning taekwondo to protect her younger brother. Today was class officer elections. Xiao Tu didn't care about it, and laughed crazily with her best friend, as other students got elected. Somehow, by sheer luck, she was chosen to be the class's cleaning officer. She and her best friend, Jiang Wan, went outside to clean the classroom. Jiang Wan had her phone confiscated by the teacher, so she begged Xiao Tu to get it back. Xiao Tu couldn't bear seeing her friend cry, and said she'd do it. The 10th graders were sweeping the schoolyard, and the 11th graders were checking their work. Ling Chao saw a trash bag hanging from a tree, and threatened to deduct points. Xiao Tu refused to lose, climbed the tree to get it, but she fell, tearing her sweatpants on a branch. Worried, Ling Chao took off his jacket to cover her up, and later took her to get her pants fixed. That evening, Xiao Tu boasted about her new position at home. Her mom was so happy that she decided to cook a nice meal for her. But Xiao Tu kept showing off, so her parents couldn't stand it anymore and kicked her out. So Xiao Tu went to Ling Chao's house for dinner again. Ling's mom really liked her and praised her endlessly, which made Ling Chao roll his eyes. So Xiao Tu decided to inspect his room. His room was very clean and tidy. but she found something interesting under his bed. She recognized it as a box she had given him when they were little and wanted to open it. Inside, she found something shocking. She screamed for her godmother, but Ling Chao covered her mouth and eyes. He said it belonged to his classmate, but Xiao Tu didn't believe him. Ling Chao had no choice but to do as she asked and get her phone back. The next day, during self-study time, while the teachers were at a meeting, they snuck into the teacher's office. After searching for a while, they finally found the phone. But then, Zihan walked in, making a noise that woke a teacher up. Ling Chao claimed he found some money in the hallway and had come to return it, and he safely left. Xiao Tu and Zihan, in the pink shirt, were punished by running laps around the field. The teacher was about to let them off, but then he saw the school beauty walking by and stopped to look good. Seeing the teacher talking to another teacher, the two students stood there gossiping. After the other beauty teacher left, the teacher called them back and punished them to write a 1-0 word self-criticism. Zihan, clearly innocent, pulled out her honor student application form to prove her case. So the teacher made the little girl write a 2,000 word self-criticism instead. That night, Xiao Tu was very unhappy and threw her shoes, bag, and books everywhere, making her mother extremely angry. Both her father and Xiao Tu were terrified by her mother's fury and immediately changed their attitude. Her mother told Xiao Tu to take a basket of fruit to Ling Chao's house. Though upset, she had to obey. At Ling Chao's house, Xiao Tu threatened to tell the whole world about his cool secret CD if he didn't follow their agreement. Ling Chao, with a smug look, pulled out the phone, causing Xiao Tu to immediately change her attitude and beg for it back. She even peeled an apple for him. Little did she know that Ling Chao had lied to their homeroom teacher to get the phone back. At first he had gotten away with it, but then he was discovered, and now he also had to write a self-criticism. While peeling the apple for Ling Chao, she found a cigarette in the trash. Suspecting it was Ling Chao's, she questioned him, only to find out that there had been a recent increase in burglaries where the burglar would smoke in people's homes. They were both shocked. The next morning, Ling Chao's mom was getting ready for work. Ling Chao said he would pick her up after school because of the recent burglaries, but she said it wasn't necessary and left for work. Before class, Jiang Wan bought a magazine and started telling fortunes based on birthdays. Ling Long asked Jiang Wan about her and Ling Chao, but only got "Tay, just friends" answer, which made her very sad. She was so distracted that she couldn't answer the teacher's question. Then, the teacher had the class discuss the topic together. Ling Long saw Xiao Tu's table laughing and accused them of distracting her. The three girls started arguing, and the teacher got angry and sent them to the hallway for detention. At that moment, Ling Chao came out of the science lab and saw them. He seemed only interested in Xiao Tu, but she ignored him and was being friendly with the senior girl, so he left. After school, the two friends hurried to pick up Ling Chao's mother, but they found her getting into a car with another man. Ling Chao was very upset, even dreaming about his mother marrying another man. Xiao Tu woke him up, wiped his sweat, gave him a chocolate, and encouraged him to finish his homework. Back home, his mother was waiting in the room, looking distraught. She asked him if he could forgive someone close to him who had hurt him, but only because they wanted what was best for him. Ling Chao immediately thought of his mother with the man, but didn't reveal anything, only saying that someone who wants what's best for him wouldn't hurt him. His mother said it was just a scene from the movie she was watching and left the room. Before he could dwell on his sadness, he got furious because his expensive silver nails were now painted bright blue. He called Xiao Tu to ask about it, but she acted innocent and hung up. His parents were overjoyed and cried with emotion when they saw Xiao Tu suddenly focused on her studies. The truth was, she was just reading her horoscope, which said Sagittarius would have good luck on exams, so she decided to go to bed. After the exams, she was very happy, thinking she did well. She and Ling Chao went to buy a birthday present for his godmother. They went to a jewelry store, where they could get a discount if they worked together, to choose something. Ling Chao's mother's birthday dinner was very happy. After the party, Ling Chao gave his mother her present, and she was very happy, saying she now had both a daughter and a son, and a group of friends celebrating her birthday, so she was very content. Ling Chao knew the group of friends included the man who had picked up his mother that day and asked why he wasn't at the birthday dinner. His mother then asked him if he wanted to meet him, but he didn't know what to say because his mind was a mess. He only said he hoped his mother would be happy. The next day, the midterm exam results were out. Looking at the honor roll, Xiao Tu was happy that Ling Chao got first place, but even more worried because her own score was even worse than before. On the way home, she told Ling Chao to keep her secret, or else she'd be in big trouble. He agreed, and they went home together. But secrets don't stay secret forever. That night, she was happily watching TV, unaware of her mother's growing anger. Her mother subtly told her to open her letter, but Xiao Tu was still oblivious. When she finally read it, she realized she was in serious trouble. It turned out that Ling Long had anonymously submitted Xiao Tu's test paper. However, Xiao Tu knew it was her, so the next day she stood at the classroom door and yelled that Ling Chao didn't like gossipy people, trying to provoke her. Xiao Tu's low score was true, and she and her best friend were chatting and laughing during class like it was break time, angering the teacher, who then reported them to the head teacher. They were called to the office. The teacher decided they couldn't be seated together anymore and separated them. Xiao Tu and Zhang Wan acted like they couldn't bear to be apart, putting on a dramatic farewell scene. Zhang Wan, now seated next to the quiet and decent class president, felt awkward and unsure how to connect with her more reserved classmate. Xiao Tu, on the other hand, was sitting with the attention-seeking Zihan. Zihan kept sighing, catching Xiao Tu's attention. He was upset about not being in the same class as Ling Chao, wanting to compete with him. Xiao Tu even read his diary, detailing his repeated failures to beat Ling Chao in academic competitions. He always came in second. Xiao Tu tried to comfort him, saying that achievements weren't everything and that he should focus on himself. But Zihan said it was his lifelong dream, ingrained in his very being, and he couldn't give it up. According to ancient Mayan prophecies, the end of the world was coming. One night, Xiao Tu couldn't sleep because she dreamt of monsters coming to get her, and nobody could save her. She called Ling Chao. He explained that it was just the earth entering a new cycle, not the end of the world. After explaining for a while, she fell asleep. Ling Chao also went to bed and started a new day. The next morning, Xiao Tu went to Ling Chao's house, and his mother gave her a super cute rabbit-themed outfit. She also bought one for Ling Chao. Xiao Tu suggested they wear them together since it was supposed to be the end of the world, but he refused, saying it was too flashy. Xiao Tu put the outfit away, but when Ling Chao opened the bag, he realized she had grabbed the wrong one. It was lingerie. He took it down to exchange it but made a contemptuous expression that made her snatch it back and go home, feeling embarrassed. The next day, Xiao Tu and Zhang Wan made a list of things they wanted to do before the world ended. First, they went to the cafeteria for a huge feast, spending all their money on snacks. During lunch break, Xiao Tu ate snacks instead of sleeping, disturbing her classmate, who tried to bribe her with spicy sticks. But the rich boy didn't like junk food and refused. During PE class, Zihan tried to get Ling Chao to compete in the academic Olympiad with him, but Ling Chao refused, saying he was tired of competitions. Zihan got annoyed and was called second rate. While doing sit-ups, Xiao Tu got hit in the head with a basketball and fell. Ling Chao immediately checked on her and then went onto the basketball court to get revenge. He'd hesitated to go out because he was embarrassed by his outfit, but he couldn't let his friend be bullied, so he took off his jacket. Xiao Tu felt comforted, smiled, and cheered him on. This made Ling Long and the school beauty very uncomfortable and confused. That evening, Ling Chao found a guest at his house. His mother said it was the man she had mentioned before. He wasn't emotional until the main person appeared, his father. Ling Chao was overwhelmed and ran to his room. Xiao Tu, having seen the car that picked up his mother before, was also worried. Ling Chao couldn't accept that his father, who had abandoned him and his mother, had returned. He ran away from home and went to Xiao Tu's house. Xiao Tu, knowing he was upset, pulled him inside and invited her parents to play games. Ling Chao's parents were worried when he didn't come home. Ling Chao's father regretted not fulfilling his responsibilities as a father and causing his son pain. Then, he went downstairs. Hearing laughter from Xiao Tu's house, he went back home feeling even more depressed. One morning, Xiao Tu and Ling Chao were biking to school as usual when Zihan saw them. Thinking there was something going on between them, he became very attentive to Xiao Tu. This happened to be a time when the school strictly prohibited couples, even separating boys and girls in the cafeteria, like separate restrooms. However, during lunch, Zihan boldly went to the girl's side to sit with Xiao Tu. This was seen by the headmaster, who called them both to talk to the homeroom teacher. The teacher didn't believe Zihan's denial, thinking it was just an excuse, but he didn't ban dating, saying it was fine as long as it didn't affect their studies. Then, he called Xiao Tu to ask her about her relationship with Ling Chao, but then decided against it, thinking that she might be too shy, and that asking might affect her performance. He simply reminded her to focus on her studies. Seeing them biking home together again, Zihan couldn't take it anymore, and directly asked them about their relationship. Xiao Tu didn't hide anything. and said that she and Ling Chao were childhood sweethearts, half-siblings with different parents. Hearing that, Zihan's eyes lit up. Knowing Xiao Tu knew Ling Chao well, he started trying to get closer to her, winking and offering to help her with her homework. In the following days, he was very attentive, closing the window if she was cold, tucking her in, and even using his jacket as a pillow for her. This made Jiang Wan suspicious, and she pulled Xiao Tu aside on the rooftop to tell her that Zihan might like her. Xiao Tu was confused and unsure what to think. One day after school, she noticed Zihan following her, but thought it was just his way of showing concern. Later, during mealtime, he texted her, inviting her to Times Square to work to do homework. This made Ling Chao unhappy. Encouraged by Jiang Wan and the offer of sweets, Xiao Tu agreed. Ling Chao, not wanting to lose, immediately invited her to an amusement center. At the dessert shop, Xiao Tu directly asked Zihan if he liked her. Of course, Zihan was interested in Ling Chao, not Xiao Tu, so he denied it immediately. However, fueled by Jiang Wan's romantic fantasies, Xiao Tu still thought he liked her, even stylishly wiping whipped cream off his face. At the amusement center, Ling Chao's group unexpectedly ran into some teachers on a date, and they wisely decided to leave. As they were leaving the amusement center, the two groups bumped into each other. To avoid awkwardness, Xiao Tu suggested they go shopping for clothes. Zihan picked out a pretty dress for Xiao Tu, but it didn't suit her style. Ling Chao stepped in and chose a cute purple jacket for her. At the checkout, both boys tried to pay, but Ling Chao won. Back at Xiao Tu's house, her parents looked troubled and told her about Ling Chao's family. It turned out that when Ling Chao was young, his father quit his job to start a business, despite his mother's disapproval. For the first few years, the company lost money, so he didn't dare go home. Recently, his business started to boom, and he returned, even sending New Year's gifts, hoping Xiao Tu would help convince Ling Chao to forgive him. Xiao Tu didn't know whose side to take, as both had their own sorrows. After returning the New Year's gifts to Ling Chao's mother's house, she went to the park to find Ling Chao. She comforted him, realizing that he didn't actually hate his father that much. He just needed time to process everything. She then made him laugh and took him home. The school holidays ended, and a new semester began. Xiao Tu and Ling Chao stopped at the Fat Uncle's pancake stand, as usual. While waiting, Xiao Tu read her and Ling Chao's horoscopes, predicting that he would have romantic troubles next month. Ling Chao didn't believe in fortune-telling, but reality quickly proved her right. First, Ling Long bumped into him, making him drop his pancake. Then, at school, he was surrounded by girls giving him gifts. Xiao Tu was also preparing for university applications. She and Jiang Wan chose the social sciences department. Even class president, Si Wen, chose social sciences because of his love for geography. Zihan was surprised and curious how Ling Chao, with his love for history, would choose between social sciences and natural sciences, ultimately selecting the natural sciences department. Xiao Tu didn't care. After school, Xiao Tu went to Ling Chao's classroom to ask him to go home with her because she forgot her keys. But he was tutoring the school beauty, Xinlan. While she waited, Ling Long arrived. Seeing Xinlan asking for help, she sneered. Ling Chao ignored her and continued tutoring Xiao Tu, which surprised the top student who thought the specially treated student was academically weak. Hearing this, Ling Chao gathered his books and called Xiao Tu to leave with him. As they were leaving school, they ran into Zihan, who had been waiting. He was trying to approach Ling Chao, but Xiao Tu mistakenly thought he liked her. On the way home, Ling Chao noticed a car following them and told Xiao Tu to go home first while he checked it out. It was Ling Chao's father, who wanted to watch him from afar because his son still hadn't forgiven him. However, this only made Ling Chao angrier. Xiao Tu, having seen the car, brought Zihan back to her house. Zihan was very nervous about visiting Xiao Tu's home for the first time. He was very polite to her parents. Xiao Tu's mother was flustered when her daughter brought a boy home and called Ling Chao's mother for backup. That evening, both families had dinner together. Ling Chao's mother and Xiao Tu's mother chatted back and forth, making Zihan competitive. He did everything, washing dishes, cleaning the floor, and wiping the kitchen. After finishing, he proudly showed off his work, but both mothers subtly told him to go home. Xiao Tu saw him off, and her mother asked Ling Chao to go with them. Zihan had a terrible day. On his way home, his new bicycle was stolen. Feeling sorry for him, Xiao Tu lent him her cute pink bicycle. Ling Chao warned Xiao Tu to stay away from him, believing he had ulterior motives. But Xiao Tu, enjoying the attention, ignored him. The next morning, Xiao Tu and Ling Chao were biking to school when they ran into Xin Lan, who offered Ling Chao breakfast, but he refused. Jin Lan then tried to be friendly with Xiao Tu, advising her to choose the social sciences department because natural sciences was very difficult. She only passed because Ling Chao tutored her. Xiao Tu was surprised that Ling Chao tutored others patiently. But actually, he was much more patient with Xiao Tu, but she wasn't focused on studying. Jin Lan, seeing their good relationship, felt annoyed and started gossiping about Xiao Tu in class. But Xiao Tu overheard. Xiao Tu confidently confronted Xin Lan, lecturing her on proper behavior. But outside, her hands were still trembling. Xiao Tu, who had previously seen Xin Lan and Ling Chao together and considered Xin Lan a goddess, was now disappointed. Ling Chao, constantly surrounded by admirers, hid in the restroom to escape them. Jiang Wan suggested that if he wanted peace and quiet, he should join the tutoring class, which was as quiet as a monastery. During computer class, Xiao Tu continued her search for a sister-in-law, using her QQ account to chat with Ling Chao, who quickly realized it was Xiao Tu. After school, Jiang Wan convinced Xiao Tu that she also liked Zihan, so the next day they went out, not for a casual outing, but for a taekwondo match. Zihan kindly walked Xiao Tu home afterward. Ling Chao, however, was unhappy and warned Xiao Tu that Zihan had ulterior motives, but she didn't listen and stomped into her house. On Sunday morning, Ling Chao's father came home, so Ling Chao went to Xiao Tu's house, only to find a lively gathering. Jiang Wan suggested they play Truth or Dare. Zihan chose Truth and confessed that he'd followed Xiao Tu and Ling Chao for a while, but was happy that they became friends. After the game, everyone went home. Ling Chao encountered his father at his doorstep, and they briefly spoke before parting ways. The next day in class, students submitted their department choices. Teacher Tai saw that Si Wen, despite his excellent grades, had chosen social sciences and asked him to reconsider. Si Wen went to the rooftop, where he found Jiang Wan hiding some magazines to keep them from her parents before the exam. Jiang Wan advised him to follow his interests and pointed out that introverted guys like him would have a hard time finding girlfriends in the science department. Hearing this, Si Wen rushed back to the teacher's office to confirm his choice. It was Sunday, and Xiao Tu was still in bed. Ling Long's mother came to give Xiao Tu wedding candies because Ling Long won a gold medal in a dance competition, increasing her college chances. Hearing this, Xiao Tu's mother became anxious because Xiao Tu wasn't academically gifted and didn't have any special talents. She worried about how she would get into college. She told Xiao Tu that her parents would support her no matter what her dreams were, but Xiao Tu, enjoying her carefree life, hadn't thought about her future. Because of this argument, Xiao Tu's parents fought. Her father, wanting to avoid the conflict, went out for a walk and unexpectedly ran into his foster son, Ling Chao, who had escaped his house because his father was there. The two foster father and son then went to do some adult activities. It turned out they went to scratch lottery tickets. Ling Chao had great luck, winning 700-800 yuan, while Xiao Tu's father kept losing. Discouraged, he asked Ling Chao about the fun things young people do. Ling Chao took his foster father to an internet cafe to watch cooking videos. Both were hungry, and watching delicious food made them even hungrier. They went home to eat the delicious food prepared by their mothers. The two mothers were worried, one about her daughter's college prospects, and the other about the strained relationship between her husband and son. Because Xiao Tu didn't know what she wanted to do, she took a video camera to interview people about their dreams, from fat uncle to her classmates and upperclassmen. When she asked Ling Chao, he suggested she become a reporter because she was good at it. The headmaster suddenly appeared, and she quickly ran away to avoid having her equipment confiscated. That night, Ling Chao stayed at Xiao Tu's house because his father was still there. He didn't know how to live with his father after 10 years of separation. Xiao Tu advised Ling Chao to express his feelings directly to his father, to get angry when needed and apologize when necessary, since it was clear he still cared. After thinking for a long time, he still couldn't find a solution, only returning home after seeing the expensive car leave. However, his father was still there, and they met at the door. His father gave him a pack of cigarettes and told him to spend more time with his mother. At that moment, Ling Chao understood and realized his father did care about his mother. He invited his father inside. His father was surprised and happy and went in with his son. Though still a little awkward, they were finally a family again. After breakfast, Ling Chao went to school. A parent-teacher meeting was scheduled. Jiang Wan's grades had dropped significantly, so she didn't want to tell her parents, but Teacher Tai's sharp gaze forced her to tell the truth. As soon as class ended, Zihan rushed to the social sciences department to hang out with Xiao Tu, which raised eyebrows amongst the other students. Everyone was discussing the parent-teacher meeting, worrying about their low grades, except for Xiao Tu, whose parents were out of town and whose godmother would attend in their place. Her godmother adored her and would definitely speak up for her. Jiang Wan mistakenly told her father the wrong time for the meeting, hoping he would arrive after the meeting ended, so he wouldn't know her real scores. The meeting was about to begin. Zihan's mother confidently introduced herself and chatted with Ling Chao's mother, saying that their children were a good match, but Ling Chao's mother strongly disagreed, praising her son and mentioning the close relationship between Ling Chao and Xiao Tu. The teacher arrived, and Zihan's mother greeted him, but was embarrassed when she realized she'd entered the wrong classroom and quickly left. Ling Chao's father, attending his son's parent-teacher meeting for the first time in 10 years, was praised by the homeroom teacher for Ling Chao's outstanding performance, making him both proud and ashamed. While waiting for their parents, the students chatted on the playground. Jiang Wan was worried sick that her father would find out about her poor grades and cut off her allowance. Xiao Tu comforted her, telling her not to worry, that everything would be all right. Zihan was captivated by Xiao Tu's radiant aura, fascinated by watching her. Suddenly, Xiao Tu said it was her turn and started imitating her mother. Everyone praised Zihan's acting skills. Xiao Tu approached Ling Chao, but he refused to participate. So, she pretended to be Ling Chao's mother, asking him about the parent-teacher meeting. When he didn't cooperate, she called him honey. Ling Chao, embarrassed, imitated his father smoking a cigarette. Zihan, seeing his crush call another dude honey, scoffed. That evening, Ling Chao's mother complained to Zihan's mother, worried about Xiao Tu falling into Zihan's hands, and subtly suggested marrying Xiao Tu to Ling Chao. Xiao Tu's mother readily agreed, as she also liked Ling Chao. Xiao Tu's father, however, worried that this was a case of a foolish daughter marrying a smart son-in-law. After the parent-teacher meeting, Jiang Wan cried her eyes out because her father had thrown away her idol's posters and magazines. Xiao Tu tried to comfort her, but nothing worked. Then, the teacher called Jiang Wan for a talk. He comforted and encouraged her to study hard, promising to help her with her idol-related issues. She immediately started studying, and the next day, the teacher, though he accidentally bought the wrong one, gave her an idol's book, which she loved and appreciated. During break time, students gossiped about Xiao Tu and Ling Chao. The rumor spread quickly, and now the whole school thought Xiao Tu was involved in a love triangle. Embarrassed, Xiao Tu avoided everyone on the playground. Ling Chao, seeing her trying to avoid him, stopped her, put his arm around her, and they laughed as they walked home together. Xinlan, seeing this, looked furious and helpless. There was nothing she could do. At the convenience store, Ling Chao bought a buy one get one free deal on a new flavor of milk. Xiao Tu passed by and told him she was going to the bookstore with Zihan, who would help her buy review books. Ling Chao got annoyed and blamed the milk, saying that peach usually came with mango, but this time it was matcha. That evening, Ling Chao watched TV with his foster father, while his foster mother brought fruit to Xiao Tu, who was supposedly studying. Thinking Xiao Tu was finally planning for the future, he discovered her chatting on the phone with Zihan, acting strangely. Seeing Zihan's name all over her homework, Ling Chao became annoyed, especially after hearing her say she was working hard. He scoffed at her efforts. While looking for something in her bag, Xiao Tu accidentally revealed a shoujo manga. She said it was Zihan's, and Ling Chao said that explained why Zihan always claimed he wanted to surpass him, but never succeeded, implying that Zihan was influenced by Xiao Tu. Just then, Zihan called, and in the heat of their argument, Xiao Tu didn't hang up. So Zihan overheard everything. Ling Chao laughed, while Xiao Tu was speechless. The next day at school, Ling Chao was tutoring his classmate when he saw Zihan and Xiao Tu together. His classmate joked that they'd probably get married in 10 years if this continued. Ling Chao imagined a scene where he walked into their house, and they were married with a bunch of kids calling him uncle. Determined to prevent this, he followed them to the restroom, the cafeteria, constantly watching Zihan. Zihan, seeing Ling Chao, mistook it for his rival's encouragement. After school, Xinlan invited Ling Chao to an art exhibition, but he refused, saying he needed to find a book. To help her cause, Xinlan asked Wen Yu to find the book for her. He immediately agreed. The next day, Xinlan gave Ling Chao the book, but he knew Jiang Wan had bought it for him, even going to the outskirts of town in the cold. He refused to accept it. Wen Yu, upset, went to the stadium to clear his head. Later, Ling Chao found him and told him he didn't need to do that. Wen Yu explained that he'd admired Jiang Wan since middle school because she was kind and didn't discriminate against him. Ling Chao, who had been academically gifted and handsome since childhood, and who consequently had many friends, didn't understand Wen Yu's feelings. Wen Yu resented how easily Ling Chao achieved everything, and he was furious. The two close friends ended up fighting over a girl. Ling Chao got punched in the face and went to Xiao Tu's house for help. Xiao Tu was about to go out with Zihan, but Ling Chao's injury was more urgent, so she canceled her plans and took care of her childhood friend. She gently applied medicine and blew on his wound. Ling Chao's heart skipped a beat, and then, unexpectedly, he sneezed. Xiao Tu gave him medicine and candy, knowing he hated the bitter taste of medicine. Because of her concern for Ling Chao, Xiao Tu forgot to cancel her date with Zihan, leaving him waiting in the cold for a long time. The next day, on the rooftop, Xin Lan talked to Wen Yu. She had overheard their conversation. She realized how beautiful she appeared in Wen Yu's eyes, and she praised him for being a good person. She then offered him 2 tickets to the art exhibition, inviting him to go with her. And of course, he readily accepted. Because Zihan had been dressed lightly in the cold the previous night, he was sick and couldn't go to school. Xiao Tu then remembered that she had forgotten to tell him she couldn't make their date, causing him to fall ill. Wen Yu and Ling Chao made up. Wen Yu gave Ling Chao the book again, hoping he would accept it this time. But Ling Chao refused because he sensed there was something wrong with it. He mentioned that he already had a book from Xiao Tu. He did not know, however, that Xiao Tu's book was a pirated copy, a romance novel that she and Jiang Wan had bought the day before. That evening, Xiao Tu, feeling restless, called Zihan to apologize profusely, offering herself up for whatever punishment he deemed fit. However, Zihan wasn't angry at all, and was even pleased that Xiao Tu had called. When Xiao Tu explained that she'd missed their date because Ling Chao was injured, Zihan asked if he was Xiao Tu's best friend. Xiao Tu hesitated, and Zihan, knowing the answer, said he was sleepy and hung up. Spring arrived, and with it, a mountain of homework. Jiang Wan came to Xiao Tu's house to study, but she left before they could do anything. So Xiao Tu walked her to the gate. As she left the residential area, Xiao Tu saw her childhood idol, playing music for everyone, and approached him with a bright smile. The next day, Xiao Tu heard that Yu Jun was writing couplets in the residential area, so she changed her clothes and went to ask him for a pair. He readily agreed. Since he was Ling Long's cousin, Xiao Tu teamed up with Ling Long to ask Yi Jun to help them with their homework. Ling Long demanded Ling Chao in exchange for Yi Jun's help. So for the sake of their studies, Xiao Tu invited Ling Chao to her house the next day to study with Yi Jun. After much pleading, Ling Chao agreed, on the condition that no one would disturb them. They studied for 2 minutes before spending the remaining 2 hours watching a movie. A scene of early snowfall in the movie, with white snowflakes, inspired Xiao Tu to crave fried chicken. Ling Long mentioned that it might snow the following Wednesday, and Yi Jun promised to take them out then. The day arrived, and the two waited for Yi Jun on the bridge. Because Xiao Tu was cold, Ling Chao put his scarf around her. After everyone arrived, they went to a restaurant. However, it didn't snow all day. Xiao Tu, waiting and feeling unwell, started rambling about how handsome Yi Jun was, annoying Ling Chao, who took her home. On the bus, Xiao Tu fell asleep and rested her head on Ling Chao's shoulder. He smiled, and when she shifted her head, he carefully supported her. Xiao Tu woke up, thinking her neck was broken, leaving Ling Chao speechless. That day, Ling Chao's father decided to move, shocking Ling Chao, who strongly objected, saying he would stay put. Ling Chao's mother, distressed, confided in Xiao Tu's mother. The two mothers, heartbroken at the thought of separation, cried, moving Xiao Tu's father to tears. Xiao Tu, having overheard, rushed to talk to her foster father, hoping they wouldn't move, as no one wanted to leave. She emphasized that Ling Chao cared most about their family being together, not where they lived. Ling Chao's father, still undecided, showed Xiao Tu the blueprints for the new house. Although the new house looked luxurious, Xiao Tu still didn't want them to move. That night, she tossed and turned, and early the next morning, she went to Ling Chao's house to wake him up. He jokingly said he'd be happy to move if he had to wake up at 6 a.m. every day in the future. Xiao Tu started crying and told him to bring all their childhood mementos if he moved. Seeing her cry, he took her for breakfast. After eating a delicious breakfast, Xiao Tu revealed that she had no intention of moving. Hearing this, Ling Chao perked up. After breakfast, Ling Chao bought some food to take home for his parents. Seeing the two mothers happily together in the small kitchen, Ling Chao's father announced that the family would not be moving after all. That evening, Ye Jun came to borrow Ling Chao's books. Ling Qiao asked Ye Jun what he thought of Xiao Tu, and Ye Jun said that she was very special. This made Ling Chao unexpectedly wonder if Ye Jun, too, might like Xiao Tu. Since Ye Jun's visit, Xiao Tu had been studying much harder, diligently learning new vocabulary words even during lunchtime. However, her best friend, Jiang Wan, seemed completely distracted, not even focusing on her meals, and she even disappeared during class. It turned out that while having dessert with her father a few days prior, she had seen text messages between her father and a woman arranging a meeting at a hotel. Today was the day of that meeting, and to catch her father in the act, Jiang Wan had skipped school and returned home. As soon as school was over, teachers and classmates rushed to look for her. Luckily, thanks to Ling Chao's quick thinking and tracking skills, they found Jiang Wan. She burst into the hotel room and saw her father happily chatting with a woman, immediately assuming that the woman was his mistress. She began to cry and yell, causing a scene and trying to force the woman out. When she saw her father defending the woman, Jiang Wan, acting impulsively, grabbed a glass of water and threw it at her father. Another girl who happened to arrive at the scene also misunderstood the situation and left. The entire situation was a misunderstanding. Jiang Wan's father was actually trying to find a tutor for his daughter, concerned that she wasn't doing well in her studies as her college entrance exams approached. Meanwhile, Xiao Tu, seeing this unfolding drama, decided to secretly record a video as evidence to help her friend. Worried about being too obvious, she pressed herself close to Ling Chao, using his jacket to hide her face. Seeing this, Zihan said he needed to go to the restroom to compose himself. While there, humming a tune, he attracted the attention of a talent scout who expressed interest in him, becoming a trainee. Xiao Tu, recognizing this as a rare opportunity and knowing it was Zihan's dream, strongly encouraged him to try out. The next day, Zihan announced that he'd passed the first round of the talent show auditions but was hesitant to continue, fearing his parents' disapproval. Xiao Tu encouraged him to try, saying that parents usually support their children's dreams. Because of the recent events, Jiang Wan was studying harder, even ignoring Sai Wen's attempts to chat and show her magazines. Meanwhile, Ling Chao was studying hard for the university entrance exam. Xiao Tu visited him every day, preparing food and study materials. Before long, Ling Chao successfully got into Yunhai University and left for his new school. Another happy event was Zihan's successful audition. He would soon be going abroad. The friends were thrilled, promising to stay in touch, and took photos together as a memento. On the way home, Zihan, worried about their separation and that Xiao Tu might forget him, invoked the punishment Xiao Tu had promised, that she would remain his best friend forever. Xiao Tu wished him a bright future and success in his dreams. Zihan wanted to hug her, but Xiao Tu left. Ling Chao had called. Zihan watched her leave, his heart heavy. Xiao Tu was now in 12th grade, with only 3 months until the college entrance exams. Most of her classmates had clear goals, but Xiao Tu was insecure about her grades, fearing college was an impossible dream. She studied until late at night, and then stopped by Ling Chao's old classroom and sat in his seat. She turned around, surprised to see Ling Chao. Knowing she was struggling with her college goals, he reminded her of their childhood dream, to go to and go home from school together. He encouraged her to apply to Yunhai University with him, emphasizing that if she really wanted it, she could find countless ways to achieve it. Still feeling insecure, Xiao Tu changed the subject to celebrate Ling Chao's birthday. Using candy as a cake and her phone as a candle, Ling Chao wished that Xiao Tu would achieve her goals. As he stood up to change seats, he tripped over a chair and fell onto Xiao Tu. Their eyes met, and both were embarrassed. Ling Chao quickly got up and turned away, but Xiao Tu called him back to see a shooting star. She commented on the beautiful stars and night sky. Ling Chao, lost in his feelings, turned to look at Xiao Tu and agreed that it was beautiful. The college entrance exams began. As Xiao Tu left the house, she was surrounded by both sets of parents, excitedly encouraging and reminding her. Feeling overwhelmed, she and Ling Chao held hands and left early, walking instead of biking due to Xiao Tu's usual bad luck. However, even walking, she stepped on dog dropping. Ling Chao kindly changed her shoes for her. Before entering the exam hall, he reminded her to pay attention to the questions, stay calm, and not get stressed. Xiao Tu, feeling comforted, told him to wait patiently. The 2 stressful days of exams finally ended. Xiao Tu suddenly felt nostalgic for her high school days, studying, playing, and fighting over food with her friends. She wouldn't be wearing her uniform, running up and down the stairs, or watching the sunset on her way home ever again. As soon as she left the exam hall, Ling Chao gave her delicious ice cream, and the family took group photos, celebrating Xiao Tu's graduation. Because of the college entrance exams, Xiao Tu's superstitious mother made her wear purple underwear. The color ran, staining her clothes, making Xiao Tu furious. She felt singled out, as the entire family was supposed to wear matching underwear for good luck. Embarrassed, she told her best friend, only to be further humiliated in front of Ling Long and Si Wen. She hid her face, unable to look anyone in the eye. When the results were released, Xiao Tu, who had always been at the bottom of the class, scored 596 points on the college entrance exam, an incredibly high score that made her parents overjoyed and proud. However, it was still below Yunhai University's admission threshold, causing her great anxiety. Ling Chao, hearing the news, reassured her, advising her to confidently apply to Yunhai, as the university had added a journalism department this year, increasing her chances of acceptance. Her parents worried about her university choice. Xiao Tu's father opposed Yunhai, even with Ling Chao's assurance. Xiao Tu firmly stated that she wanted to apply to Yunhai. Ling Chao, afraid Xiao Tu wouldn't be able to study with him, rushed home. At the park, he pressed Xiao Tu about her choice, suggesting it was because she wanted to see him every day, cornering her. While it seemed romantic, Xiao Tu found him strange and pushed him into a lake. Terrified, she ran away, leaving a stunned Ling Chao behind. Yunhai University announced the acceptance of additional students, securing Xiao Tu a spot. Both families celebrated, overjoyed that she had been accepted into such a prestigious university. Alongside Ling Chao, Ling Chao's mother said he was sick and couldn't come, so Xiao Tu, feeling guilty, went to visit him. Finding the house empty, she went to his room and waited, only to find a missing novel. After reading the first page, she realized it depicted a scene between her and Ling Chao from a few days earlier. Hearing a noise, she hid under the bed in embarrassment. Seeing clothes and towels thrown on the floor, she imagined Ling Chao undressed, only to be caught by him. He explained that he was just gathering laundry, not changing clothes. Embarrassed and angry, Xiao Tu accused him of faking his illness. Ling Chao, however, was genuinely sick from swimming in cold water every day. He slammed his fist on the table, spun his chair, and leaned in, scaring Xiao Tu. After receiving her acceptance letter, Xiao Tu texted that she would go to school alone. Unexpectedly, she had good news on her first day. She was in the same university as Jiang Wan and would be sharing a dorm room. Both were delighted, praising the university for its thoughtful arrangement. However, they then saw Ling Long enter the dorm. Dorm 404 also housed another student, Jiang Min, who was greeted and helped by an upperclassman on her first day. The moment he saw them, he switched on his flirting mode, inviting the new students out for dinner that night to get acquainted with the university environment. To make it a proper group, he also invited his roommates, who happened to live in the same dorm as Ling Chao. After seeing everyone leave, Xiao Tu called home to let her parents know she was safe. But they weren't worried at all. They were actually relaxing and playing mahjong. Feeling a bit down, she flopped onto her bed and then received a second call, this one from Ling Chao. He called to apologize and smooth things over from the previous day, but Xiao Tu still acted very angry. Suddenly, Jiang Wan called to invite her to dinner that evening with some upperclassmen, and her mood instantly brightened. At the same time, Ling Chao also received a call from his roommate. He hadn't planned on going anywhere, but then he realized it was the same dinner with Xiao Tu, so he immediately changed his mind and decided to go. As soon as Xiao Tu arrived, she realized Ling Chao was also in the group. She went in and sat down, making sure to sit as far away from Ling Chao as possible, but he still found ways to get close, switching seats and pouring her drinks. According to Wang Chen, ever since freshman year, Ling Chao had had a lot of girls chasing after him, but he rejected them all, to the point where everyone thought he was handsome but maybe gay. When it was time to order, Xiao Tu ordered some delicious dishes and drinks, and Ling Chao thoughtfully reminded the server to leave out the cilantro because she didn't like it. Wang Chen noticed how attentive Ling Chao was to his junior and warned him, being like this will cause trouble with the wife back home. Zhu Linlung's lipstick application went off track when she heard that, never suspecting that the wifey they were talking about, the fierce girl who was always on the phone with Ling Chao, was actually Xiao Tu sitting right there. After they finished eating, the group played Truth or Dare. Xiao Tu lost right away and was dared to get another guy's phone number. She shyly approached a guy and asked for his contact information. This made Ling Chao extremely jealous. He practically inhaled a whole jar of vinegar. Watching the guy hold her hand as he wrote down his number, Ling Chao chugged a glass of water, pretended to be drunk, and subtly got everyone else to leave, so that Xiao Tu would have to take him back to the dorm. Feigning drunkenness, Ling Chao pulled a classic domineering move, pinning Xiao Tu against the wall and pulling her along by the hand, causing the inexperienced girl to blush and flee back to the dorm. Just as she got inside, she ran into her roommates. It turned out none of them had brought their dorm key, and Jiang Min, who usually had it, had lost it. So, to avoid sleeping on the street, the girls had to go search in the abandoned area nearby. Their key-finding mission felt like walking into a haunted house. To make matters worse, Jiang Min kept telling scary stories, making the more timid girls terrified. To protect their hearts from exploding, the girls decided to go back and wait for the dorm manager. But even at midnight, there was no sign of her, so they were still anxiously waiting. Suddenly, a face appeared and spoke, startling Xiao Tu and her friends, who ran away screaming. It turned out to be just the dorm manager. Fate, as it turns out, is a real thing. The upperclassman whose number Xiao Tu had to get during the game earlier showed up in her class looking for volunteers for a student union activity. Xiao Tu, who happened to be eating a baozi and dripped some juice on herself, raised her hand and was picked. Back in her room, she heard rumors about Ling Chao being involved in something shady. Although the description sounded like him, she was certain Ling Chao wasn't that kind of person. Feeling uneasy about the situation, Xiao Tu worriedly went to find Ling Chao. Meanwhile, back in his dorm room, he was online tracking the IP address of the person who hacked him. Jiang Wan and her group were devising a counterattack plan for Ling Chao, drafting a post condemning the irresponsible behavior of keyboard warriors. Xiao Tu invited Ling Chao to go to class and hang out with her to avoid seeing those nonsensical posts online. It turned out her worries were unfounded. Ling Chao asked her what she would do if he really were the jerk everyone was saying he was. Knowing Ling Chao better than she knew herself, Xiao Tu was 1000% certain that he was a bookworm who didn't have time to chase other girls. She told him that if he liked someone, he should go for it, and as long as it wasn't Ling Long, she would always support him. Ling Chao gave her a meaningful look and said, "Remember what you just said." The next morning, Ling Chao woke up early and called Xiao Tu to go to class with him. He even ran to several dining halls to get her breakfast. In front of the dorm, two girls started bad-mouthing Ling Chao right in front of Xiao Tu. So she immediately defended him and, grabbing his hand, pulled him away. When they reached the stairs, Xiao Tu held out her hand, making Ling Chao mistakenly think she wanted to hold hands. He shyly extended his hand, only to realize she just wanted the breakfast he was carrying. While they were eating, Jiang Hu showed up and gave Xiao Tu a tissue. Ling Chao, seeing this guy's interest in his childhood friend, whom he maybe secretly considered his, immediately sensed a rival and knew he had to step up his game. Since Jiang Hu had been introduced as Xiao Tu's younger brother, Ling Chao put his arm around her, declaring they were like siblings, just not blood-related. He invited her to class, but she slept through the whole thing. As soon as class ended, Jiang Hu invited Xiao Tu to a meeting. Ling Chao fumed, but couldn't do anything. His friends, instead of comforting him, teased him mercilessly. So, they came up with tons of strategies to help Ling Chao pursue Xiao Tu. The first plan was to give her a gift, but not just any ordinary gift. His friends helped him create a bouquet made of snacks and candy. Ling Chao excitedly brought the special bouquet to Xiao Tu. But, being lazy, she lowered a laundry basket from her window to receive it. Plan failed. However, the guys in the dorm weren't discouraged and came up with another idea. Wang Chen taught Ling Chao a card trick to produce cards in a specific order. 52. Queen, 13, 14. In Chinese internet slang, this translates to, "I love you for life and eternity." Desperate, Ling Chao decided to give it a try. He practiced for days, but when he finally performed the trick for Xiao Tu, she didn't understand the significance of the cards. She even said, "Anyone can do that trick." Looking at Ling Chao's face, his friends knew instantly that the plan had backfired and bowed their heads in apology. Then Wang Cheng came up with another idea, coding. After a few days, with Jiang Wan's help, she got Xiao Tu to come down to the campus courtyard. Suddenly the lights went out, and a "Happy birthday" message appeared on the building. Immediately after, Ling Chao appeared, bathed in the spotlight, and presented Xiao Tu with a birthday gift, formally wishing her a happy birthday once again. It was only then that Xiao Tu realized all these romantic gestures were for her. Back in her room, she was so touched that she blushed, but she still wasn't sure about her own feelings. She went on an anonymous online forum and recounted the story between herself and Ling Chao, mentioning that his strange behavior didn't bother her at all. The next morning, Ling Chao called Xiao Tu for breakfast. He thoughtfully pulled out her chair, served her food, and offered her drinks, but she politely declined each gesture. Suddenly, they saw Jiang Hu entangled with a girl. When he noticed them watching, he tried to explain it away by saying she was a marketing representative. He then changed the subject and invited Xiao Tu to a photography practice session. Ling Chao tagged along. Passers-by, seeing them together, thought Ling Chao was trying to improve his image by pretending to be gay. Some sneered, while others expressed enthusiastic support. Back in her room, Xiao Tu was resting when Jiang Wan complained about her dad recently hiring a tutor to help her pass the CET-4 English exam. This reminded Xiao Tu that she also needed to take the English test. Suddenly, Zihan called. The friends who hadn't talked in a while immediately got excited. Xiao Tu mentioned the English test and asked Zihan, who was abroad, to tutor them, but he said his English wasn't good enough since he was in Asia. Then he suggested Ling Chao tutor them. This gave Jiang Wan the perfect opportunity to tease Xiao Tu about her ambiguous relationship with Ling Chao. But Zihan didn't want to listen, feigning a bad signal and hanging up. That afternoon, Xiao Tu went to the library to study, but soon got bored and started scrolling through social media. She saw that her post had a lot of comments and started reading them. The commenters were all saying that someone who posts like that must be in love, and that if a childhood sweetheart story like this wasn't love, it would be too tragic. Every comment hit Xiao Tu hard, making her question her own feelings and finding it unbelievable that she might actually like Ling Chao. But the fact that Ling Chao made her heart flutter was undeniable. From then on, Xiao Tu became incredibly confused and even avoided Ling Chao's calls and messages. Ling Chao, having not seen Xiao Tu for 3 days, was a lost soul. His roommates offered various solutions to his predicament, but none worked. So Ling Chao became determined to see Xiao Tu that very day. Meanwhile, Xiao Tu was on her way back from a student union activity. Jiang Hu was still trailing after her, offering to carry her heavy camera. Still naive and unaware of Jiang Hu's intentions, Xiao Tu accepted his help and said goodbye to him. Xiao Tu went to the library, and Ling Chao followed. While they were talking, they overheard a woman saying, "I just wish you wouldn't avoid me." Their curiosity piqued. They peeked from behind the bookshelves to see what was happening. It turned out to be Jiang Hu in a compromising situation with another girl, but he was trying to break up with her and leave. Xiao Tu turned away to avoid being seen, but somehow ended up enveloped in Ling Chao's embrace. She closed her eyes in embarrassment until Ling Chao gave her a signal. Realizing how close they were, she awkwardly reached up and pretended to look for a book. Ling Chao grabbed one for her, but it turned out to be a book about love, making her even more flustered. The next day, Xiao Tu went to the library to study, but she arrived late and couldn't find a seat. Luckily, Ling Chao was already there and had saved her a spot. He had even thoughtfully prepared books, supplies, and a drink so she could focus on studying. A while later, having arrived so early, Ling Chao fell asleep. Xiao Tu took the opportunity to carefully observe her childhood friend's features. He had the face of a Korean pop star, she decided. Suddenly, she reached out as if to touch his face, but at the last second, she changed her mind and pinched his nose instead. Ling Chao woke up with a start and playfully scolded her for sleeping in until 10 a.m. and just now arriving at the study room. Xiao Tu told him to go back to sleep, and pushing his luck, he said. Back in the dorm, Jiang Wan announced that Ling Chao was trending again. On the confession wall, girls were buzzing about him, and this time, it was a picture of him sleeping in the library. Xiao Tu felt a pang of annoyance seeing the photo because she had been sitting right next to him, but she'd been cropped out. Ling Chao's birthday was coming up, so Xiao Tu dragged her best friend out to buy yarn to knit him a scarf. The shop owner assumed the scarf was for her boyfriend, but Xiao Tu didn't dare admit it. So she spent day and night knitting the scarf for Ling Chao. Jiang Wan helped her sort out her feelings, assuring her that this was definitely love. The next day, Ling Long gave Ling Chao an early birthday present, a scarf she had knitted herself. However, Ling Chao quickly rejected it, saying he liked Xiao Tu. Ling Long burst into tears and ran back to her room. She told her roommate that he had never liked wearing scarves. It was always like this. Overhearing this, Xiao Tu thought, well, this is a disaster, and immediately mailed the scarf she had made to her father. Xiao Tu's dad, receiving the gift, thought his daughter was finally growing up and showing him some love. Feeling confused and overwhelmed, Xiao Tu went outside to jump on the stairs to clear her head. She bumped into Jiang Hu and, on impulse, asked his opinion about her situation, framing it as a story about her cousin and her cousin's upperclassmen. Jiang Hu, mistakenly believing the story was about him and Xiao Tu, gave her very positive feedback, saying it sounded like fate and she should seize the opportunity. So Xiao Tu went home and updated her status, declaring that she definitely liked Ling Chao, but was still insecure about whether he liked her back. For Ling Chao's birthday, the whole gang went out for a big meal at a restaurant. Everyone gave him presents, but Xiao Tu arrived empty-handed. Jiang Wan mentioned someone staying up several nights to knit a scarf as a birthday gift, but then heard that the recipient didn't get cold easily, so the scarf was given to their dad. Hearing this, Ling Chao felt a pang of regret and quickly asked for a replacement scarf. A scarf could be replaced, but a birthday gift couldn't. Their friends nudged the two of them to go for a walk, giving Ling Chao a chance to choose a birthday gift and providing them with some alone time. They went into a clothing store and picked out a dress shirt. Ling Chao looked incredibly handsome wearing it, making Xiao Tu practically drool. As they left the store, they encountered a girl selling flowers. Unable to sell them a flower, she asked for Ling Chao's WeChat contact information. This made Xiao Tu furious, and she stomped off ahead. Ling Chao caught up to her and told her to check her phone. She saw he had sent the girl her WeChat contact and immediately cheered up. Then, the group rejoined the party to celebrate Ling Chao's birthday. University breaks are rare, so Ling Chao and Xiao Tu went home to visit their parents. Xiao Tu went to cut some fruit, and Ling Chao, wanting to impress his potential mother-in-law and lessen her worry about her daughter, went to help. Xiao Tu playfully scolded him for never wearing the shirt she gave him for his birthday, accusing him of not appreciating it after receiving it. Ling Chao responded, "How about you let me have you for a bit, and then we'll see." This ridiculously sweet line made even the narrator swoon, and Xiao Tu blushed as well. That evening, Ling Chao's parents questioned him, and upon learning that he also liked Xiao Tu, they were relieved and urged him to act quickly before she got away. He wasn't even as anxious as Mother Lu was. She was worried because her son was aloof and quirky, and she feared no one would be interested in him. Xiao Tu had previously brought a boy home, making Mother Lu incredibly anxious. Moreover, the boy's mother seemed like something was wrong, and she worried that if Xiao Tu married into that family, it would be a disaster. So Mother Lu urged her son to do whatever it took to win over the adorable Xiao Tu. Ling Chao, happy that his parents approved of their relationship, promised to do his best. As soon as his parents left, he called his friend abroad, Zi Han, waking him up just to thank his mother for supporting their love. Xiao Tu returned home with a pile of local specialties for her parents, but her father was only looking forward to the knitted scarf. Her parents subtly questioned her about her love life, saying they wouldn't object to her dating but that it was important to find someone nearby, ideally from the same hometown. Meanwhile, Jiang Wan was at a concert and noticed some overzealous fans. She advised them against interfering in the artist's personal life. However, the obsessive fans wouldn't listen, and they started attacking Jiang Wan. Luckily, a hand reached out and pulled her out of the crowd. This hero was Siwen. He was putting on his glasses when he saw what was happening, and rushed to help, leaving Jiang Wan deeply touched. He even thoughtfully offered her his jacket when she said she was cold. Looks like another person is about to escape singlehood. A few days later, everyone returned to school. Xiao Tu was busy for several days, preparing for a forum organized by the student union. Suddenly, Ling Chao sent her a QR code which, when scanned, revealed a flood of cute bunny pictures. However, Xiao Tu was furious because she was working on a draft for the upcoming forum, and the code had caused her to lose her work. Jiang Hu seized the opportunity to get close to her, even touching her, but Xiao Tu warily backed away. A few days later, after the forum rehearsal, Jiang Hu used the excuse of reviewing the draft to ask Xiao Tu to stay behind with him. Once everyone else left, he made a sleazy move, assuming his good looks and charm had won her over. Xiao Tu, sensing something was wrong, tried to clarify his misunderstandings, but he wouldn't listen, and even tried to corner her. Earlier, Jiang Wan had made plans with Xiao Tu to get bubble tea. Arriving at the forum room, she found the door locked and called for help. A little while earlier, Wang Cheng ran back to the dorm and told the guys there was trouble. Ling Chao, without a second thought, immediately ran out, only to find the situation wasn't that serious. Just then, Jiang Wan called to say Xiao Tu was in trouble, so the group rushed over and burst into the room. Ling Chao, with a swift kick, knocked Jiang Hu down and led Xiao Tu out. The next day, Jiang Hu barged into Ling Chao's dorm, aggressively demanding an explanation about the competition list. Ling Chao took the opportunity to confront and threaten him, throwing down evidence proving he was the shady person mentioned on the online forum earlier. Exposed, Jiang Hu retreated, unable to do anything. Immediately afterward, Wen Yu showed Ling Chao Xiao Tu's online post. Ling Chao's eyes lit up as he realized she liked him back. He then invited Xiao Tu to travel with him to another city for a 2-day, 1-night competition. Xiao Tu, surprised and flustered, busied herself with her food to hide her excitement. Jiang Wan, overhearing this, prepared a pile of makeup and dresses for her friend to charm Ling Chao. Indeed, Xiao Tu's outfit that day stunned Ling Chao. They had a great time strolling through the snack streets, and he even got to be fed by the super cute Xiao Tu. The streets were crowded, and Xiao Tu bumped into Ling Chao, landing against his warm chest. She blushed and suggested they head back. Upon arriving at the hotel and opening her bag, the naive Xiao Tu realized she had been set up. Her well-meaning friend had packed some very sexy lingerie, making her blush crimson. Just then, Ling Chao rang the doorbell, asking to borrow a kettle to heat some water. He noticed she looked different and asked her about it, listening to her flustered explanation. Then he realized her hair was wet and hadn't been dried, so he grabbed a towel and started drying it for her. Amidst this sweet scene, Xiao Tu felt an itch and fell backward, landing on top of Ling Chao. The two stared at each other, blushing. Ling Chao hurried back to his room, dazed and happy, telling Wang Cheng to go to sleep and promising to bring him back a first-place prize in the morning. It turned out their sudden sweetness was because they had confessed their feelings the night before. During that moment when they fell on each other, Ling Chao had poured out his heart to Xiao Tu, and since she also liked him, they shared their first kiss, a sweet and passionate one. That's why Wang Cheng, like the world's brightest light bulb, was now illuminating the young couple's love. Jiang Wan seemed even happier than Xiao Tu, her shipped couple finally together. The next morning, Ling Chao picked up his girlfriend from class, and they went to lunch together. Feeling bad for their single friend, Xiao Tu invited Jiang Wan to join them. Xiao Tu recounted their love story, but Jiang Wan found it unconvincing. Moreover, the couple's behavior hadn't changed at all. They still acted like best friends. So she and Wen Yu demonstrated some romantic words and actions for them, like sharing food, opening bottles for each other, and whispering sweet nothings. But Xiao Tu couldn't bring herself to do it, finding it all too cheesy and unbearable. Ling Chao then pointed out that since they had been single since birth, they had no dating experience and couldn't teach anyone anything. The next morning, since they had to submit a photography assignment, they decided to make it a date. Ling Chao asked some passersby to take pictures of him and Xiao Tu. While they were resting, Xiao Tu, imitating Jiang Wan, acted cute and asked her boyfriend to open her water bottle. He played along. Xiao Tu wondered if they seemed like a couple because they acted so differently from couples in movies. Ling Chao gently took her hand, pulled her into a hug, and was about to kiss her when a nearby dog interrupted. Xiao Tu confessed that she was truly happy to have a boyfriend who knew and understood her so well. And since this was her first relationship, she hoped he would guide her. The next day, while the two girls were strolling around, Xiao Tu received a call from Siwen. After the call, she started acting strangely. At lunch with Ling Chao, she didn't finish her meal, claiming she had a class and rushing off. When Ling Chao invited her on a holiday trip, she said she already had plans with a guy. Ling Chao overheard two people at a nearby table discussing how female celebrities often two-timed their partners, which made him overthink things. He went home and obsessed over who Xiao Tu could be seeing. After much deliberation, he suspected it was Zihan, so he called him to confirm, then abruptly hung up without saying anything, leaving the single dog Zihan utterly bewildered. Meanwhile, instead of spending the holiday with her boyfriend, Xiao Tu kept pestering Jiang Wan to stay with her. She even lied, saying she and Ling Chao had a fight, and she was now relying on her best friend. Friendship prevailed, and Jiang Wan agreed to skip her fan meetup to spend the holiday with Xiao Tu. The decisive moment arrived. Xiao Tu texted Ling Chao about something, making him think she was breaking up with him, but it turned out to be something else entirely. Then, Xiao Tu ran into her room and yelled for Jiang Wan to come down and deal with Ling Chao, who was apparently putting his arm around another girl. Being the best friend she was, Jiang Wan grabbed a loudspeaker and went downstairs to scold him, only to discover the person next to Ling Chao was Siwen. It turned out Siwen had asked Xiao Tu to help him create an opportunity to confess his feelings to Jiang Wan. His confession was a bit long-winded, but before he could even finish, Jiang Wan agreed, and the two held hands and went for a walk. Siwen had liked Jiang Wan since high school. He even gave her a globe with an inscription at graduation. Back in her room, Jiang Wan looked up the latitude and longitude coordinates inscribed on the globe, revealing a heart-shaped island, a truly romantic gesture. Meanwhile, Ling Chao and Xiao Tu were also taking a walk. Xiao Tu's parents called to check on her. and Ling Chao poked his head into the conversation, saying they were together. Xiao Tu quickly corrected him, saying they were just walking together, trying to avoid her parents' questions. Ling Chao was a little annoyed, but she explained she was afraid her mother would immediately make them get engaged. She reassured him, "Don't worry, I'll take responsibility." Summer break arrived, and both Xiao Tu and Ling Chao returned home. Xiao Tu spent her days visiting Ling Chao's house. Finding him pretending to sleep, she teased him, only to be caught in his trap. He pulled her onto the bed and gave her a few quick kisses. Suddenly, Ling Chao's dad opened the door, startling Xiao Tu, who quickly pretended to be scolding Ling Chao for sleeping too much. But his dad saw right through them and quietly closed the door. The four of them sat down for breakfast. A message came through on Ling Chao's phone, and Xiao Tu answered it for him. Seeing his phone's background photo, a picture of Xiao Tu, Mother Lu was overjoyed, winking at her husband and then inviting her future daughter-in-law to go shopping. Worried about being seen, Xiao Tu was very cautious, quickly pulling her hand away from Ling Chao's whenever a neighbor passed by. Mother Lu rushed over to tell Xiao Tu's mother that they were about to become in-laws. The two mothers happily chatted about their children, delighted they were finally together. To give the young couple some alone time, Mother Lu arranged a week-long trip for the four. Downstairs, the two fathers were playing cards and called the youngsters over to join them. Seeing them still bickering, Xiao Tu's dad started to doubt whether he and his wife had misread the situation. The long-awaited trip began, but Xiao Tu's dad was still worried. Ling Chao also started planning outings with his girlfriend, but his plans were thwarted day after day as Xiao Tu was busy entertaining visiting relatives and friends, leaving Ling Chao neglected. The next day, Xiao Tu's aunt arrived, making Ling Chao, who hadn't seen her for days, quite grumpy. The following day, Xiao Tu finally emerged, bringing breakfast for Ling Chao. After not seeing each other for several days, they hugged and kissed. However, Ling Chao was once again relegated to the sidelines, as Xiao Tu went out with her friends. She went to the movie theater, thinking it was a girls-only outing, so she didn't invite Ling Chao. To her surprise, Si Wen was also there. Rereading Zhang Wan's text, she realized she had misunderstood. After the movie, Xiao Tu rushed back to explain to Ling Chao, but he was sulking, feeling excluded from her life. Seeing him upset and unwilling to listen, she changed her tack, deciding not to explain further and going home. Ling Chao, at a loss, sought advice from Wen Yu, who suggested the most effective solution, groveling and taking all the blame. Xiao Tu was also upset at home and couldn't even focus on watching TV. She took out 2 movie tickets, intending to make amends with Ling Chao. Just as she opened the door, he appeared. He had taken Wen Yu's advice, bringing tiramisu to appease her. Xiao Tu returned to her usual self and explained the afternoon's events. Ling Chao expressed his desire to spend more time together and showed her a new app he had developed, reminding her to use it so she wouldn't forget she had a boyfriend waiting for her. Xiao Tu jokingly suggested they spend some time apart so he could perfect the app before they got back together. He playfully sulked, and she put her arm around him, pulling him close. Just as things were getting romantic, Xiao Tu's dad came home early and opened the door. He was greeted by the sight of his adopted son in a compromising position with his daughter. Both sets of parents were as shocked as the couple on the sofa. Xiao Tu's dad was furious, learning they had been dating for months, and he was the only one in the dark. He blamed himself for moving next door to the Lias and letting their kids get together. Students returned to school. Ling Chao prepared to attend a forum on new technology. Since the speaker was incredibly handsome, Zhang Wan wouldn't miss it for the world, dragging Xiao Tu along. The two groups met up and sat together. The forum began, and the girls' jaws dropped. The speaker was Yi Jun. That evening, they invited him to join them for dinner. He already knew about Ling Chao and Xiao Tu, and shared a story about how Ling Chao had once called him, asking him to send encouraging texts to Xiao Tu to motivate her studies. After dinner, Yi Jun took Ling Chao aside for a private conversation. He wanted to offer him a job at his company. Ling Chao didn't readily accept, demanding 2 conditions. First, he wanted the freedom to form his own team with his dorm mates. And second, he asked Yi Jun to keep his distance from Xiao Tu. Both conditions were easily met, and Yi Jun readily agreed. The journalism department, as expected, had tons of assignments. Early one morning, Xiao Tu and Zhang Wan were out filming a video. Still sleepy, Xiao Tu kept mistaking other people for Si Wen. Luckily, he arrived to visit his lovely friend. The 3 of them filmed together. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the street. A young man on a motorcycle and an older man, who seemed to have fallen, were surrounded by people yelling at the motorcyclist. "Xiao Tu, wanting to avoid getting involved, left and told her friends to take advantage of the time and go on a date. The next day, Xiao Tu reviewed the video footage and found it boring. Jiang Wan, scrolling through her phone, saw that the motorcyclist incident was trending. People were criticizing him online. Xiao Tu felt even more discouraged, seeing how a randomly uploaded video could cause such social problems, and she kept replaying her edited footage. Suddenly, Jiang Wan noticed that their video clearly showed the motorcyclist had been wronged. The older man and the crowd had ganged up on him. This gave Xiao Tu an idea for a new story. They quickly re-edited the video and posted it online, clearing the motorcyclist's name. After a few hectic, unkempt days, they successfully published the story. However, the post didn't get much traction. Their professor praised their work and then asked other students to help share the truth. The motorcyclist came to thank Xiao Tu personally. He had felt drawn to her from the moment he saw her, and now, knowing how righteous and kind she was, he had fallen for her. He used the excuse of getting a copy of the video to ask for her WeChat contact. The next day, Xingyu rode his motorcycle to the dorm and gave Xiao Tu a mountain of bubble tea. She assumed it was a thank you gift and happily accepted. That evening, he set up candles and confessed his feelings. But Xiao Tu, already taken, quickly rejected him. He persisted, however, boldly declaring his love. Xiao Tu firmly turned him down again and left, telling him to show some respect and call her older sister from now on. Just then, Ling Chao walked by and witnessed the scene, his eyes flashing with anger. Xingyu was in trouble. Early the next morning, Xingyu turned on his charm, trying to woo Xiao Tu, but she remained firm and rejected him again. Ling Chao, overhearing this, was annoyed. At the gate, he saw everyone calling his girlfriend older sister, just like Xingyu, and pretended to leave in a jealous huff. As Xiao Tu ran after him, he turned around and kissed her, marking his territory. He then took her to a furniture store, mysteriously saying that sooner or later, they would be living together. While the two were enjoying their date, their friends were worried about the persistent Xingyu. The guys were back in their dorm, strategizing against Xingyu. Wang Cheng analyzed that Xingyu was a high-level operator and needed to be countered with his own tactics, fight fire with fire. Ling Chao listened patiently to his friend's lengthy analysis before standing up, having already formulated his own plan. He had taken Xiao Tu furniture shopping that afternoon and posted pictures on social media, announcing to the world that they were very much in love and even planning to live together. However, Xiao Tu's post was blocked, so she was unaware of it until Jiang Wan showed her. Xiao Tu was furious that she, the person involved, knew nothing about it. The next morning, the two rivals faced off in front of the girls' dorm. Ling Chao turned on his charm, engaging in a battle of wits with Xingyu. The tension was high, but Ling Chao emerged victorious. He then took Xiao Tu to a beautiful apartment. She loved it, and Ling Chao revealed he had already bought it. He even showed her the key and asked her to keep it safe for him. That evening, they relaxed in the dimly lit apartment, and Xiao Tu posted on social media, confirming their relationship. Wing Yu, seeing the post, could only back down and wish her the best. On a beautiful day, the two girls were on the roof airing out blankets when Saiwen called to check in. Jiang Wan was happy and looking forward to seeing him on her birthday. Later, they went shopping for birthday outfits. Jiang Wan texted Siwen for his opinion, but he didn't reply. It turned out he was hiking in the mountains and had no signal, unable even to send a safety message. That night, despite being recently ill, he braved the rain, climbing higher to find a signal, but still couldn't get a message through. So, Jiang Wan's birthday, which promised to be joyful, became the saddest one ever as she waited in vain for her boyfriend. She decided to break up with him. From that day on, Jiang Wan was like a ghost of her former self, utterly heartbroken and inconsolable. Under Xiao Tu's constant care and support, after 2 long years, Jiang Wan finally returned to her normal self. She even moved to Beijing for work, as she had always planned. Xiao Tu was now interning at an entertainment company, but as fate would have it, she was forced to work with someone who had gotten the position through connections. Ling Chao was working at Yijun's company. One day, while hosting a group from Tsinghua and Peking universities, he ran into Siwen. He then asked Wen Yu to book a table for him at a trendy, romantic restaurant. Wen Yu immediately agreed and quickly gossiped with Xiao Tu about it. Xiao Tu, thrilled, prepared herself, excitedly waiting for her boyfriend to pick her up. Her coworker, seeing her excitement, even lent her a particularly beautiful dress to wear to impress Ling Chao. However, after work, she received a phone call telling her to go straight home. Finding this highly suspicious, she returned home and interrogated Wang Cheng, who lived with Ling Chao. After questioning him for a while, he still claimed to know nothing, so she temporarily let it go. A while later, Ling Chao returned, seemingly dispelling all of his future wife's suspicions. Si Wen arrived with him. It turned out that Ling Chao's date was actually with Si Wen. Seeing him, Xiao Tu immediately launched into a heated interrogation of Si Wen. It turned out that Si Wen's phone had broken that day, and he'd had to get it repaired, leaving him unable to contact Young Wan. After replacing his phone, his dating app wouldn't reconnect. Hearing the truth, Xiao Tu urged him to be brave and proactive, to create his own opportunities. After all, how would he know if he didn't try? Remembering Jiang Wan's past advice to her, about choosing between science and humanities, Si Wen jumped up and ran off to win back his love. As Si Wen left, Ling Chao cornered Xiao Tu, demanding an explanation for being lumped in with those awful, cheating men. He was about to punish her, when Wang Cheng's presence as a third wheel forced him to take her to his bedroom. Ling Chao declared that since it was late, it was only logical for her to stay, then proceeded to try and coax the innocent Xiao Tu into sharing his bed. Like a sly wolf, he pretended to make a move, teasing her. Xiao Tu, thinking he was serious, opened the blanket, ready for some action, but he was just joking. She then took the opportunity to tease him back about his childhood surgery. To prove his point, he flipped over, playfully threatened her, then lay back down. Xiao Tu snuggled up to him, and they fell asleep, leaving Ling Chao deeply moved. They were still asleep when the insistent ringing of the phone woke them. Ling Long had fallen from a height, broken her leg, and had no one to care for her, so Xiao Tu had to go. The next day, Ling Chao, about to leave on a business trip, stopped by to see Xiao Tu and brought food for Ling Long. That evening, he even helped Si Wen plan his reconciliation with Xiang Wan. Meanwhile, Xiao Tu's boss continued to give her a hard time, flaunting her experience and favoring other employees. Later, after work, Ling Chao picked Xiao Tu up for dinner. He was feeling down about losing a bid on a project. Xiao Tu comforted him, saying everyone experiences setbacks and that it was perfectly normal, even if he kept failing, because she would always support him. He took her to the romantic restaurant they had missed out on before. Xiao Tu, convinced he was about to propose, excitedly changed into a different, more glamorous dress. At the table, she searched high and low for a ring box, but found nothing. Noticing her unusual behavior, Ling Chao asked what was wrong. He teased, "So, you're that eager to marry me?" and nuzzled her. Since it was late, he offered to let her stay at his place. Xiao Tu declared they would sleep separately, but Ling Chao didn't want that. He made up a series of excuses. It was cold outside. He was tired and sore from his business trip. The sofa was uncomfortable. All to convince her to share his bed, but she refused. To salvage the situation, he offered to tell her a bedtime story. However, his story changed into a lecture on derivatives and integrals, quickly putting her to sleep. Resigned, he went out to the sofa to sleep. The night was cold, and he tossed and turned, coughing fitfully. Xiao Tu came out to cover him with a blanket, but he surprised her with a sudden embrace. In the darkness, they hugged and kissed, tumbling from the sofa onto the floor. Just as things were getting romantic, the lights flicked on, and Wang Cheng appeared, interrupting their passionate moment. Flustered and embarrassed, Xiao Tu quickly ran back to the bedroom. Sometime later, Jiang Wan returned from her internship in Beijing. They then began to implement their plan for Si Wen to apologize and win her back. Xiao Tu led Jiang Wan down a path beautifully decorated with candles and flowers. Amidst the gathered crowd, Jiang Wan realized she was the center of attention, and standing before her, looking directly at her, was her ex-boyfriend, Si Wen. Her heart pounded in her chest. She wanted to run away immediately, to avoid having to face him again. Her heart was still deeply wounded from their past breakup. But then, Si Wen started playing her favorite song, and began dancing, perfectly recreating a dance she had once performed for him, desperately trying to coax her out of her anger and win back her heart. Hearing the familiar melody, Jiang Wan was reminded of their happy times together, and softened, stopping to listen. But the pain of the past years wasn't easily erased. She pushed Si Wen away and ran off. He chased after her, apologizing and promising to wait for her, even if it took a lifetime, then took off his jacket and put it around her. Touched once more, Jiang Wan choked back tears and returned to the dorm. Putting her hands in the jacket pockets, she found Si Wen's phone. The background was still a picture of them together, stirring her emotions. To secure her position at the company, Xiao Tu had to produce a competitive interview program, judged by viewership ratings. Whoever got better results would be kept on. Xiao Tu thought this was fair enough, but the problem was her boss always favored the other intern. who had connections. Determined to win, Xiao Tu poured all her effort into the project. Finally, her hard work paid off. Her program got excellent ratings, making her colleagues proud. However, her boss and the other intern attributed the high ratings to the Saturday broadcast time, claiming it naturally attracted more viewers. They challenged her to produce another program, to air the following Thursday, giving her barely 10 days. Xiao Tu thought, "Fine, if that's what you want," and invited the megastar Zihan for an interview. Everyone envied her for having such a handsome and talented friend. Even the director was impressed with him. Seeing the director's reaction, Xiao Tu's boss did a complete 180 praising Xiao Tu's abilities and resourcefulness. The interview filming was a huge success. The crew admired Xiao Tu and Zihan, making the other intern incredibly jealous, and she started bad-mouthing them. Suddenly, Ling Chao appeared, making her even more envious, as Xiao Tu had a handsome and talented boyfriend and a famous Korean actor as a friend. Ling Chao took his girlfriend home. They were supposed to be cooking dinner, but they couldn't resist getting carried away, rekindling their passion. The next morning, Xiao Tu woke up to a big prank. Ling Chao teased her, saying they'd been married for 3 years, but it took a while for her to realize she'd been tricked. While the marriage was fake, the engagement was real. Their families had celebrated and toasted their engagement the previous night. Xiao Tu, happily nestled in Ling Chao's arms, suddenly remembered she had plans with Zihan. He had gone to her place early that morning, hoping for a home-cooked meal, but the couple had slept in late, forcing their guest to cook for himself. Xiao Tu apologized, lightly chiding Ling Chao for not treating their guest properly. The two friends chatted briefly before Zihan had to leave. The celebrity was still quite childish, constantly bickering with Ling Chao. That evening, Zihan was trending again. Paparazzi had snapped photos of Xiao Tu, seeing him off that morning. Ling Chao, seeing the photos, was furious that he, being so handsome, had been cropped out. Xiao Tu called Zihan, only to overhear his conversation with his manager. Ling Chao, listening in, told her to contact Zihan less, and then hinted, "Girlfriend, you're taken." Xiao Tu, not understanding, was then shown exactly what he meant. The next morning, Xiao Tu woke up, embarrassed and overthinking everything, then quickly got dressed to attend a graduation celebration with her dorm mates. Si Wen tagged along with Yang Wan, demonstrating his affection and making her feel more secure. Jiang Wan seemed to have had a bit too much to drink and was acting tipsy, gesturing wildly and speaking her mind. Using her drunken state as an excuse, she kissed Si Wen, receiving a sweet kiss in return. Having graduated, the young couple returned home to surprise their parents. They almost discovered a photo album that Xiao Tu's dad kept hidden while watching their parents tidy up. Later, they took a family photo and hung it on the wall. That evening, Ling Chao took Xiao Tu to an amusement park. The path was filled with reminders of their happy memories together, from childhood to adulthood. Standing beneath the Ferris wheel, Ling Chao, using the romantic atmosphere, poured out his heart, proposing and magically producing a ring, making Xiao Tu incredibly happy. Fireworks lit up the sky, celebrating the young couple who, after so much, were finally together. Time passed, and Ling Chao and Xiao Tu had a happy little family, with an adorable and easily fooled son, making it convenient for them to sneak off for dates. The film ends with the couple sharing a passionate kiss, their love for each other overflowing. And that concludes this unique, romantic, fairy tale love story. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to see more entertaining and exciting movies. Have a wonderful day, everyone.